Hey guys, Brian delivers you the goods here. I'm returning to you this afternoon. Hopefully this comes out around the time I'm going to release it, but it depends on my cell service mostly. Might take a little bit for this video to get uploaded. So basically this is for Smash Mouth's final studio album review I'm reviewing for their Marathon Studio album reviews I've been reviewing since, I believe it was like the 10th I started, and I was trying to do this on the 19th, but I've had to delay it because, to be honest, I kind of forgot about this final album I was going to review. And I was supposed to review it on the 19th, but didn't get it out then because I literally forgot about it. I've been dealing with a lot of stuff most of this week, and I just got too tired from working and going to bed early and all that. So this is for their 7th and final album with the basically Steve Harwell is this is his last album, and because of his passing, which still may rest in peace. And I did enjoy listening to their discography. So this is for Magic that I'm reviewing, the 2012 album. So I'm going to discuss what I listened to for their final studio album with the lead singer Steve Harwell. I think they're still together, but they have a new singer. So I'll let you know what I thought of this final album that I've listened to for Smash Mouth's final album with Steve Harwell. So let's dive into this album review. Sorry for the lengthy intro. I really forgot about this album because I forgot to review it on the 19th. So I was like, shit, I knew I was forgetting something. First song is Perfect Planet, and that's a solid track to open the album. I mean, Steve Harwell's vocals sound alright. Does sound a little deeper than usual, because there was more enjoyment. Excuse my yawning. There was more enjoyment with Astro Lounge, and I think the album after that, which was can't remember what that album was, but I did enjoy the album right after. I think it was Get the Picture. That was actually a pretty good album. That was the last pretty good album that I listened to for Smash Mouth's discography, and Perfect Planet is solid. It is not a bad way to open the album, in my opinion, so I'd give it a 4.5 out of 5. Live to Love Another Day sounded pretty solid. The drum work and guitar work sounds pretty much like classic Smash Mouth from their older days, and it works for what it's going for. I am very sorry for feeling like I'm yawning so much, because I've been yawning lately on my videos. I need to take better care of myself and my health. I've been drinking a few sodas, so it's probably another thing in the stuff I'm eating. So 4.5 out of 5 for Live to Love Another Day. Taking care of your health and mental health is the best thing. Physical and mental are the most important things to take care of in your everyday life. So 4.5 out of 5 for Live to Love Another Day. I did like Steve Harwell's vocals in this one. Magic featuring J-Dash. I liked Steve Harwell's vocals in it. It was good. The J-Dash's rapping was pretty lazy, and that kind of ruined the song's reception for me a bit. For me to give it a 4.5 out of 5. It just wasn't 4.5 out of 5. This wasn't my favorite song, but it was solid. I think majority of the melody sounded good. Steve Harwell's vocals sounded good. And just the guitar work and drum work sounded alright. So, yeah, 4.5 out of 5. Then comes the song Justin Bieber. This one was a little cringy with how it sounded, but I think it was decent, and it was a decent kind of cringy. But it's just some of the way Steve Harwell's singing it from time to time sounds alright. And some of the lyrics are a little hit or miss, so I'd give this a 4 out of 5. Out of Love was a decent song too. I didn't hate it, I just didn't like how Steve Harwell was singing the track, in my opinion. There were moments where it was good and moments where it was very weak, and his vocals sounded very off-key from time to time, but yeah, it is what it is, so 4 out of 5. There's going to be good songs from them and hit or miss tracks, meaning there's going to be good tracks and there's going to be kind of cringy tracks. And that's what I've listened to through their whole discography. There's been some hits and misses with their music, but I did have a good time listening to their music for what it was. So the next track is Flippin' Out. I'm giving Out of Love a 4 out of 5. Flippin' Out featuring J Dash. I think this one sounded a little better with J Dash rapping in this track. And Steve Harwell's vocals did pretty well in this track, so just like the kind of melody it was going for. Basically was vibing with this song. So 4.5 out of 5. Future Ex-Wife is decent. I mean, the lyrics are not as great as I thought they'd be. But the overall track, excuse my yawning. I've been yawning a few times in this video, so please forgive me on that. Future Ex-Wife is a decent song. It's just the way Steve Harwell's singing it from time to time sounds alright, and the lyrics kind of have its hits and misses. 4 out of 5. Better with Time is decent too. I just wasn't feeling for Steve Harwell's vocals in this one too much. But there were moments where it was strong and moments where it was a little weak, in my opinion. So I'd give it a 4 out of 5. Then comes The Game, and that's a solid track. I think it's a good song in its own way. I think the solid tracks are probably the strong tracks for this album. But overall, I think the melody spoke for itself with how it sounded and just the way Steve Harwell was singing it. It was a good song. So 4.5 out of 5. She's Into Me is the second to last song before the album closer, and I think this was a decent one. I'm just not feeling for the way it's sounding some of the time, and Steve Harwell's vocals is hit or miss with this one. There are strong points and there are some weak points in the track with how his vocals sound. So in my opinion, I'd give it a 4 out of 5. And finally we get the last song, Don't You Forget About Me. Simple Minds cover. It's an older track from like the 70s or 80s. I think it was the 80s, if I'm not mistaken, because that's when the disco era was in that time. So, I think Don't You Forget About Me cover that they did for Simple Minds, it was a pretty solid cover. I wasn't hating it too much. I think Smash Mouth did alright with this track. The original track is still good with how it sounds. I wouldn't say it was my favorite song from the 80s, because I've listened to only some 80s tracks, because my mom got me into some 80s stuff. But pretty much some of the disco era for the 80s wasn't that terrible. But overall, I think this track was solid, so 4.5 out of 5. Solid album closer. So overall, production, mixing, and execution-wise, I think Smash Mouth's final album that I've listened to for this Marathon Studio album reviews I've been doing for the past almost 2 weeks. I think this was a average album in my opinion. Not something I would write home about and say is great, but it's not bad. It's not a bad way to end the discography on my note and the whole Marathon Studio albums for Smash Mouth's discography. So it's an average album. So for a score for me, I'm going to give Smash Mouth's 7th and final album with Steve Harwell in it, Magic, a 7.5 out of 10. This was an average album, not something I would say is my favorite, but it's not bad. It's almost good. There are some good and solid tracks that are the standouts for this album and the highlights for the album, but the 4 out of 5 tracks kind of brought the rating down a bit. So 7.5 out of 10 for Smash Mouth Magic for their 2012 album. Thank you guys for watching this final Marathon Studio album review for Smash Mouth's discography. I'll have another Marathon Studio album reviews video coming out for another band's discography, so definitely stay tuned for that. And thank you for watching this album review.